Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're looking through the second half of my Judge Dredd and 2000 AD related graphic novels, giving them all a good clean and polish and getting them looking as good as possible. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so starting off with this one, which I have to remember, I can't really remember much about this one, Rough Justice. It's definitely a Titan one, but I don't think it was one of my favourites, probably because, yeah, it's got the artwork, yeah, I see there's a Brett Owens one there. None of this is really coming back that clearly. Brendan McCarthy, yeah, that was it. I didn't really think that McCarthy's artwork went that well with Judge Dredd. It was a very distinctive style. I seem to remember he did a lot of Tank Girl stuff, which was really good, but I just don't think the Dredd stuff was that, you know, didn't appeal to me that much, you know. I remember this one though, the Dead Man. This was this is where Dredd gets exiled to the cursed earth. It's great stuff, this, and yeah, John Ridgway did the art, didn't he? I'm sure. Yeah, John Ridgway. Yeah, great artist. Yeah, this is a good one, standalone. And then we've got Judge Anderson. So she was always the most popular guest star, shall we say, in a Judge Dredd story for me. Really like Judge Anderson. Certain artists drew her better than others. I think Brian Bolland was always my favourite. Then followed by John Ridgway again, yeah. And he, I think, would draw the Anderson strip for quite some time, actually, because she did end up having her own strip for quite a long time. Here's book 2. Anderson, of course, was the judge who was who could read minds. Used to have the original art for that in my shop back in the day. We had that. We had some pages from the Dark Judges as well. That was the other one we had, Zip It Creep. So we had those two as original covers, I remember, framed up. And we had the Dark Judges, which she meets in a. We had a double page Dark Judges spread. I mean, God, I can't imagine what that's worth today. But it was really fantastic. I just wish I'd kept it. I don't know why I didn't. But there you go. Hindsight again. Volume 3 of Anderson. Cool. You might hear the rain in the background. Britain's had a really long hot summer, like a lot of Europe, and now the rain is coming back with a vengeance. So thankfully my studio is waterproof, so I can continue making my videos. Here's book 4 here. A great series this is. That's a John Bolton cover on that one. That's very nice. Beautiful painted artwork. I got to admit, when I had these out last week, when I was filming part 1, I sort of ended up reading quite a few of them before I put them back on the shelf. Now I see this one here has actually got a ding at the top of the spine and the bottom, in fact. He's sort of borderline. I don't think I'm going to put it on my upgrade list. It's not that major. Last time there was just the one odd Dredd book. Oh no, this is good. Look, it's a hardback. So I knew I had some. It looks like this might be the only one apart from the annuals. I definitely had some Judge Dredd in hardback, but this is nice. You know, I did jump online and check on eBay for any of these Titan books in hardback, and I couldn't find a single one. So I think they're pretty rare, you know. And I was surprised at what these are actually going for. They're between £5 and £10 a book, which is much more than I thought it was. Obviously you can get a few job lots, so you might be able to get like 5 books for 15 sort of thing. Yeah, look at that. First hardcover edition, March 83, but first published 82. So that actually was in paperback before the hardback. Quite interesting. I'd love to have more in hardback though, but I don't think they did them all. Well, they definitely didn't do them all in hardback because there would be more online, but that is really nice. That's the only Robo Hunter one I've got. I've got a smattering now of other 2000 AD characters, but not many, before we get back to more Dredd books. So Bad Company. Now this wasn't a bad little strip, and this is Brett Owens again, and this artwork actually fits these characters. It just doesn't seem to fit with Dredd. These aren't tip-top condition, sadly. In fact, that's got a name inside, and it is in pen, so I'm not going to be able to get that out. Yeah, not A1 these. This little run of Bad Company, but unless better ones come my way, I'll be happy with them. They're good enough to read, but they are going to need a nice clean. Here's book 2. I seem to remember when this strip came out, I was pretty excited by it, but yeah, it was what it was. Not the greatest of strips in the end. I don't know if I'd rush back to read it again now, but yeah, there's certainly a bit on the rough side, I have to say. It's got a Best of British sticker on the front there. I'll leave that on. That may have been done because at one point these were being sold through a few record chains like Virgin and HMV. It's book 3, and that was probably put on through one of them. But yeah, these have got like page edge branding. You can sort of see they've aged a little bit. That would have happened before I had it. It's evidently the original owner's fault, Mr. N. Jones, whoever he was. This was a great strip. I think these are pretty rare. You know, I've got VC's book 1 and 2, which I think is all there is. Yeah, Jerry Finley Day. Yeah, I think these are pretty rare. One I wouldn't mind getting, and I definitely haven't got it here, is the Stainless Steel Rat. Now, I just wonder if it actually came out as a book. Robot ABC, Strontium Dog, Halo Jones. No, it's not listed there. I wonder if that ever came out as a Titan graphic novel. I don't think it did. I don't think it did. Not back in the day when these were being published anyway. They might have done it recently by Rebellion, the current owners of 2000 AD properties, and they've done these fantastic chronicles of each character. I think the Dredd one's up to volume 40 now, because I had a little look recently. I thought, wow, that is fantastic. And they do reprint all the Judge Dredd magazine strips as well, everything in order. So it's the ultimate way to read Judge Dredd. Certainly that I'm quite tempted with those, but the problem with them is, 40 books, so it's not the end of the world, but I'd be duplicating so much stuff that I've already got. So I'm not 100% sure what the best way is to play on those. But anyway, that's it for some of the related 2000 AD for now. Now, these are published by Hamlin, so these are not Titan books, and these are big, thick graphic novels from the later period of Judge Dredd when they're in colour, from Prog 520 upwards. And that's the full old thing, and that's a $16.99. Huge book, as you can see, absolutely massive book. They're really heavy as well, much bigger than the Titan graphic novels. I read this one recently. This is one of the ones I read at work, and I thought, I must, in between my breaks and that, I thought I must dig my Judge Dredd graphic novels out again. This is fantastic. So this picks up where Dredd is in the Cursed Earth, and the Dark Judges appear in Mega City again, and Dredd gets called back. His clone's been running around pretending to be Dredd. It's a great strip, that one. The only thing was, you see how big it was? It ran for half a year, and it was almost like they were trying to get back to the great epics of stuff like the Apocalypse War, and it didn't really work in Necropolis. It was just in my opinion, it was a little bit too long. Right then, here's another one, Wilderlands. $18.99, but look how thick it is. Absolutely massive book. I love classic Escazera. Yeah, good stuff in there. Yeah. I've read that one since it was actually being printed in the comic. Right, now to some thinner ones. Judge Dredd, The Three Amigos. So this is also, these are all Hamlin, this next batch that we're looking at. This is Dredd, Death, and Meme Machine. I think possibly this was an early strip from the Judge Dredd magazine. So they've started reprinting those now. So the Judge Dredd magazine had 4 volumes. The first one was like 20 issues. The next was, about another 20. Volume 3 was about 130. And the latest volume, I think, is into issue 300 or 400 now. And it's still going to this day. I've got them all up to a point, pretty much. And then I just stopped collecting. That's a great one. I see Arthur Ransom did the artwork there. He's really great. good Anderson artist. Yeah, he. So the Judge Dredd magazine I had to stop because I just didn't have room for them all. I mean, I'm actually going to probably get shot of them, and I might end up putting the money into the Judge Dredd Chronicles, make up for that, you know. This is Blind Justice. Of course, there is one Judge Dredd graphic novel, or Judge Anderson graphic novel, that's not here. I have already cleaned it. It's the French version of one called Shambhala, which is a Judge Anderson one, which I'm sure we'll be able to see the British version of it in a minute. But I've got a French hardback edition, which I picked up in France. It was so nice, I didn't want to turn it down. Looking at the back here, here's some of the other ones here. Like, I see they did a Sinister Dexter and a Nikolai Dante. I haven't got any of those. So there's always more to find with these, I feel. You know, when you're collecting, there's always something else on the horizon. Doomsday for Mega City 1, another one of those ones. They're trying to recapture the magnificence of something like the Apocalypse War, and it just never ever happened, in my opinion. Nothing was ever that epic ever again. Doomsday for Dredd. That was Doomsday for Mega City 1. This is Doomsday for Dredd. Bit of a corner ding on that one, but he's alright. Fetish. Oh, blimey. Bit of Simon Bisley there by the look of it. Oh, illustrated by Siku, so not Bisley. Very similar to Bisley's painted artwork style though. Siku. The Scorpion Dance featuring Beyond the Call of Duty. They're massive. These are only just in picture, but I'll change the camera when we get cleaning in a minute, because these are split into two piles. The first pile's almost done. The second pile's actually a bit bigger. So we'll see how we get on. Death Aid, another classic. This. Yeah, these aren't in any particular order, these Hamlin ones. They're just sort of split by publisher. And unlike the Titan ones, they didn't number them or anything to sort of keep them in a series. Garth Ennis there. And the last one in this pile, where the second pile is actually even bigger, Emerald Isle, another Garth Ennis, and a Steve Dillon one. Glenn Fabry did the cover there. I've got a little cover gallery, which is quite nice. Cool, that's where they go over to Ireland, hence the Emerald Isle. Right, okay, that's the first pile, and they weren't actually too bad, but a few of them were quite dirty covers, so we'll get those polished now. Right, I've got a nice clean cloth for a change. Since last week I've put this one through the wash and given it a holiday. It was its birthday. And let's get cleaning. As I said, this one I don't think was too bad. Some of them I did buy brand new, you know, because I was still well into Judge Dredd. But it's funny, when I got rid of my 2000 AD collection, because that, once again, that was in, I had just boxes and boxes of it. I didn't really have the space for it, in all honesty. I kept the graphic novels just because I thought, well, I love these so much. Dredd was always my favourite character. So I thought, well, I'll just keep the Dredd ones. I'm really, really pleased that I did, because they do make a fantastic collection. When you've got, if you consider all of last week's as well, when you've got them all together, it's like, wow, that is really good. And as I said, I don't think I'm missing much in the way of Judge Dredd stuff. Certainly not from the period which I've been buying or collecting, which was when I was reading it. But I am missing a fair bit of some of the spin-off characters from Dredd, like Rogue Trooper and the ABC Warriors. There's the Slain ones. There's quite a bit of other stuff as well, which I haven't got. So, you know, it may be something that I end up tracking down the line if I can be bothered to track them all down, you know, if I get the urge. Problem is, you know, reading this stuff as it's coming out, having the time to go back and reread it is a bit tricky. Although the good news is, with comics, of course, generally they are quick reads, aren't they? So they don't exactly take up loads of your time. At least the rain seems to have eased off a little. For now, at least. That one's got not such a glossy cover, weirdly. Funny how that happens now and again. And here's that hardback, which is in actual fact in really nice condition from what I can see. Yeah, I used to really like Robo Hunter. They were really busy sort of pictures. It was by the late great Ian Gibson was the artist who I got to meet a couple of times. He lived fairly local, but I hear he has he gone? I'm not sure. I know we've lost Carlos and we've lost Kev O'Neill. Oh, I hope I'm not putting him in his grave, because but I seem to remember that Ian Gibson had actually passed away, but maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully he's alive and well. But I think he lives down near me, sort of in the southwest of England. But yeah, once again, I used to have a bit of that artwork. Lovely, a bit of Robo Hunter. Really massive it was. And I do, once again, really much regret getting rid of it. Now, these were those Bad Company graphic novels, and these were not in the greatest of shape, sadly. So I'm going to give the books a really good clean, because these were a bit on the rough side. There we are. Yeah, they definitely were dirty. As I said, I think they came in second hand into my shop years ago as a set, and I thought, oh, I haven't got those. I'll grab them myself. I don't think I bought them off eBay or somewhere like that. But I shall, yeah, a little bit. I mean, not too bad. Not like last week, actually. We had some really dirty books, didn't we? They had lots and lots of staining and aging on. But these aren't too bad. Really, it's just sort of, it looks like they are a little bit smoky, but they are, you know, from a smoker's home, as it were. So they're like a little layer of like the nicotine stuff on it, but they're just a little bit handled, shall we say. Shelf worn a little. They're definitely better after they've been cleaned, that's for certain. See, that one's actually out of position. That was book 4. So we've done book 1, book 2. This is book 2. So we've done book 1, book 4. This is book 2. So yeah, slightly out of order. Can't get a staff, I tell you. So that needs to go in there. Putting my piles in order. So Bad Company, I've actually only got books 1, book 2 and book 4. So I ought to try and track down Bad Company book 3 just to keep the set. Very pleased to have these, because I've seen these on eBay for about £25 a book. And there's 2 of them. The only 2 that they ever did. So that is a lot of money. They're probably amongst the most valuable of these original Titan graphics that I own, really, I would imagine. So yeah, pleased to have these. They're not mint, but they're not bad. You know, they're not bad at all. You know, sort of an 8 or 9 out of 10, which is absolutely fine with me. And absolutely perfect for reading, of course. But yeah, I was surprised. These are actually quite quite expensive. It's a great strip. It's quite adult compared to some of the other 2000 AD things, which was always, they never drummed the stories down for their audience. They always respected, that they get the most out of it. But the VCs is real classic sort of science fiction. I really enjoy it. So maybe that's why they've sort of held their price, and maybe they just didn't sell that well. Although these great jackets, I'm surprised. Really nice editions these are. Who can tell with these things, I guess they're just not as well known as Judge Dredd. Simple as that. Yeah, that is outstanding, that jacket. Good stuff. Next we're back into the pit. Real minter. I'm sure I got this brand new when I had my shop. We could still get these from the wholesaler, from like Diamond Comics. I think that's where I got these. So they're consequently really nice copies in a lot of cases. I would imagine that something like this in this condition now, because these books are over 20 years old, probably going to be quite a tall ask to find in nice nick. But of course, the actual content has been reprinted, so there's probably limited demand at the same time as them being quite scarce editions. But then again, I thought that about the Titan books, and I was definitely proved wrong there. They're multiple times of their original cover price in some cases. So I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? The collector's market is a fickle thing. Huge one here. These are certainly the biggest of the graphic novels that we've got here. The most weighty, shall we say? It's a real minter, that one. Lovely. That's what we like. This is that Three Amigos. So this is, it's got a funny sort of feeling on the front. It's definitely not like those other ones, but that's okay. It's still glossy. It's just a slightly different sort of cover texture. But it was a little on the worn side here. A little bit dirty. There's a sticker mark up there, which we've now got off, which has probably been there for many years. Lovely, there's that one. Yeah, Arthur Ransom. What a great Anderson artist. I think he was the one I was thinking of as my favourite Anderson artist after Brian Bolland. John Ridgway's good, but not in the same league as for Anderson as this. And Arthur Ransom, he was the king. And we've, I believe, got a few more Anderson later on. I did find a great Judge Dredd website online, which after the last video, and I went on it, and basically you could look up a list of the Judge Dredd graphic novels, and they would also tell you where that content had also been reprinted in other places, like in subsequent graphic novels or in different issues of the magazine, places like that. So it's really quite interesting. Can't remember the name of it now, but it was really easy to find. You know, it's like a 2000 AD database run by fans. It was super cool, very, very informative. A lot of these early books that we were looking at last time have been reprinted, you know, like a dozen times in different things, you know, so it's very easy to actually find the stories to read if you fancy doing that. Lovely. We are certainly making a bit of a mess again today. Don't we always in these cleaning videos? Right, so this is the last one of the first pile. The second pile is actually even bigger because we've got all the Judge Dredd hardback annuals to do as well, which are in a mixture of conditions. They should on the whole be alright, but they've never been properly cleaned. So we've got them and another batch of graphic novels as well. So let me sort the table out and we'll get started on those ones. Okay then, so part 2, Goodnight Kiss. Another big one. These are still, these are Titan Books stroke 2000 AD. So it's like a bit of a crossover period, I believe. Now this one is a bit of an anomaly because I've got 2 copies of it, Tale of the Dead Man. Can you see the difference? So, Tale of the Dead rather than Tale of the Dead Man. And on the spine here, Tale of the Dead, Tale of the Dead Man. This is the original printing. And it's an anomaly, it's a mistake. It does say the first edition, July 1991. But so does this one as well, I believe. So there is a variant. Yeah, exactly the same. So, a nice graphic novel, but I must check to see if that's actually been catalogued on any of the 2000 AD graphic novel websites, because it's definitely a variant of note, shall we say. Now this is the one that I've got in hardback, but in French, which I haven't actually got here today. It was on a previous cleaning video, but this is the one. It's a absolutely beautiful, beautiful graphic novel. Just great, this one. I really, really enjoy it. Anderson was the greatest character to come out of Judge Dredd. Really, really was. Just knockout, absolutely knockout. It's great in hardback, that one. Now, this is a slightly weird format because it's much narrower. But, you know, we had a few weird formats to come up. It's more like a traditional graphic novel, you could say. Raptor. Only $5.99. That's pretty cheap, wasn't it, for full colour? I would imagine, once again, that was a reprint from the earlier volumes of the Judge Dredd magazine. Babes in Arms. Is that a Simon Bisley cover? It certainly looks like it. Doesn't actually say. Not clearly. I'm not sure. It looks like Simon Bisley, but that's not. I think that might be Greg Staples. That's who that is. 1994. Greg Staples. Nice jacket. Painted one. I always love those. It's like they've put in a bit more work. Do you know what I mean? They've really tried. Book of the Dead. Another slightly narrower one. Democracy Now, another great one. Jim Burns cover on this one. This was a real classic, and it led to this one, which many believe is the greatest Judge Dredd graphic novel ever, or Judge Dredd story, which is America. I disagree. I think the Apocalypse War is the best one, but this is very good. Another great character was Chopper, and he was the surfer, the Midnight Surfer. Started off with his Un-American Graffiti, and then became the Midnight Surfer. Great, another great character from the world of Judge Dredd. Now these are a little set of 4 by the look of it. Yeah, there's 4 of these. Once again, they're called the definitive editions. Fleetway, as opposed to Titan. Metal Fatigue. So I'm not sure where these have come from. Looks pretty early, so it looks like these were just like classic reprints from 2000 AD's Golden Age. Hall of Justice. Yeah, good stuff. Future Crime. So I remember back in 1988, I was helping to organise a 2000 AD, well, it was a comic convention in my hometown of Plymouth, and it was to coincide with 2000 AD's 10th anniversary. So I went to London with a friend of mine who was a bit older than me. He was helping out with the organisation. And we visited 2000 AD's head office. Was it in Kingsreach Tower? Absolutely fantastic. And I remember going into the office, and there weren't like people that you might recognise, but you would recognise their name, if that made sense. And there was a big rack of all the IPC magazines that were on sale at that time, and you could just help yourself. Say, oh yeah, just help yourself to any of the comics, which we did. They gave me a huge, and I mean absolutely enormous Judge Dredd poster, and we had a Judge Dredd standee as well to give away as one of the prizes. Absolutely fantastic. And I always remember a friend of mine, the guy I went up with, there was a Rolodex on one of the editor's desks, and he just flicked through and picked out Alan Moore's phone number, made a little note of it. And when we got back to Plymouth, he gave Alan Moore a call and said, well, look, we're doing a charity auction. Would you mind donating something? And Alan Moore sent down his own personalised hardback copy of the Dark Knight Returns, which he did the introduction for, by Frank Miller. Can you believe it? It was like one of 2,000 copies, and it went for over £1,000 in the auction, and that was back in the 80s. How cool was that, eh? Right, we're now on to, that's all the graphic novels, okay, and now we're on to the Judge Dredd annuals, which this is the very first one. This is what I had a poster of, I was just referring to, but it was literally the size of a wall. It was like it would have been put on a bus shelter or something. Absolutely enormous. And these early annuals, I think they're just magic. I love them. I love them so much. Yeah, these were great back in their day. I think these are going to be okay condition-wise. It's more just the covers. I can see quite a bit of wear along the top there, so they'll benefit from a polish, that's for certain. Certainly been good getting these out again. So Brian Bolland cover on that one. Very nice. 84. Oh, there he is, Carlos. Sadly missed. One of the definitive Dredd artists, that's for certain. And my personal favourite. Well, after Brian Bolland, but Bolland didn't do that many, did he? So. That one's definitely got a... it's like a bit of a... That should be quite nice and bright, and it looks like it's got a bit of fading on there. We'll be able to lighten up the white on it a bit, I think. With a bit of luck, a bit of polish. 86, blimey. Yeah, these are pretty nice. In fact, overall, my collection wasn't that bad, but it just needed that final brush off and polish really to really set them off nicely. So, there he is. Yeah, that is Brian Bolland there in his studio. I've got a couple of nice books on Brian Bolland, which I've read, but the copies that I've got now are signed limited ones, and they're shrink wrapped. And because I've read the books, I don't actually want to open my shrink wrapped copies, which I know is mad because I can't really enjoy them, but I'm going to have to one day. Now this one is actually a bit the worse for wear. It's got a spine lean right over, and then it's got these marks on the back. So I think, along with the Judge Dredd Volume 2 graphic novel, I'm going to put this one on the upgrade list because it actually lets the side down a bit. So it won't be too difficult to find a 1990 annual. This is the last one in the traditional format, the 91. And they did a few in the even bigger format, 92, so much bigger with the fold out flaps. And now this one here, look, these are a couple of Brian Bolland inserts, and I think these actually came out of one of the volumes of these Titan graphic novels, and I just saved them because they're all by Bolland. And yeah, these are from that was from the Cursed Earth. Absolutely fantastic. So they're in there for safekeeping. Keep them flat. $93. And the last one is the Judge Dredd yearbook for 1994. That was the last one they did. But by this time, you know, you still had 2000E every week, you had the Judge Dredd magazine every week, and you had a healthy run of graphic novels, and I think they thought, well, that's enough, we won't bother with annuals anymore. So there we go. That's the second pile, which we're going to give a polish. Okay, let the polishing commence. And we shall start on a fresh bit of cloth. Yes. So I haven't actually reminded myself what we're going to be doing next week. I have a feeling we're due another penguin video, so vintage penguins. And also, I am looking to pull out my early penguins again. And I've decided I am going to bag up at least the first 500 vintage penguins. It's a little bit against my wishes really, but because of the actual money involved in them, they are really expensive books nowadays. I don't want to even accidentally damage them by handling them in the wrong way, if you know what I mean. So I will film that process, and I think it'll be really, really interesting, and I'll make sure they're all tip-top clean, give them one last little brush off before they go into the bags. They've already had a proper clean, so we know we don't need to worry about that, but internally I mean. But I'm going to get myself 500 bags, and well, in fact I'm going to need 600 really, because I've got some different editions of certain books. You know, I've got more than one copy, different printings, and some variants and stuff, so I'll actually need 600 probably, which is a fair old investment. They're not cheap paperback bags, you know, you're looking at like a 10 or 100. But ultimately, if it stops any of them getting damaged even by accident, which, you know, could easily happen on those wartime penguins, then it will be money very well spent. So I think for the most expensive books in my collection, bagging them up is not actually going to hurt too much, in all honesty. I'm just going to have to live with that line along the spine, you know, which I don't really like, but nothing else I can do about it. It's okay. But yeah, I think penguin next week. Still just need 2 for my set of the first 1,000. By the time you read this, I may be down to just 1. One of the 2 that I need has actually appeared on eBay. The covers are detached, but the spine's there. I'm missing the number, so I'd have to do a bit of a repair job on it. But I'm actually happy to do that. I've done it before, just to get it, you know, better than what it looks like at the moment. So that auction, as I film this on a Thursday, it finishes this Sunday. So I'm going to have a punt. There's lots of people watching. There's like 16 people watching it because lots of people need it. You know, these last couple that I need. I mean, I saw one last year and it was on a dealer's catalogue. It went for about £125, which was pretty good. This copy, as it stands right now, it's got one bid of £75, which is what it started at. And I'm certainly looking forward to putting my hat in the ring in the hope that I get it. Treat myself to it. So we'll see how we get on. But I'm going to put in a half decent bid and see what happens. But it is rare, so I'm sure there'll be people out there who've got very, very deep pockets who outbid me. So it just depends if they're around at the time that the auction finishes and if I get lucky or not. So we'll see. We can but try. This is quite dirty, and being a white cover, it shows the dirt all the more in actual fact. But we can fix that because we have the cleaning prowess to sort these little things out. Like that little mark there. Well, I've just spotted another spelling mistake on the spine here. Look, it's Chopper by John Wagner and Colin McNeil. On the spine, look, they've left off the R on the end of his name. I'm sure he was delighted about that. Dear oh dear, a bit like that time Penguin left off the E off Graham Greene, and he actually went mental. In fact, he left the publisher for a few years. He was so annoyed and went over to Pan. There's one thing you've got to get right, it's the author's name, let's be honest, you know. So these are cleaned up really, really nicely, which is all that matters. So we've done all my sort of vintage hardbacks now. That's it. There was only like 3 or 4 videos of those, so they're all done. But I've got more modern first editions, and I've got a run of non-fiction stuff as well, like some autobiographies and things like that. So we do still have some hardbacks still to go. And then we really will be left with just paperbacks, which will need cleaning off, which is going to be Pan, Penguin, predominantly. And there'll be spin-offs from those as well, of course, like Pelicans, for example, and the Puffins we haven't done. Lots of spin-off series, things like that. So that's what we've got to look forward to going ahead. And pretty much all my other books are going to be done. So there will come a point, there is going to come a point where I would have cleaned every single book in the collection. And then I think the next thing to do, and what obviously I'll start mixing these in before I run out of books, is I'm going to start doing some toy cleaning. All right, so I've got a lot of old toys that will need cleaning before I dispose of them. I'm thinning my toy collection right down now. So I've got lots of Star Wars stuff, and that's going to be going in a few weeks' time. There's a dealer coming down from Manchester looking to buy it. But that will still leave me an awful lot of Star Wars stuff to clean and sell on over the next couple of years. So it's going to move into that. I've also got an awful lot of Simpsons stuff, like action figures and things like that, which once again I'll bring down a box or 2 at a time for a video, get it all out and give it all a really good clean. And then I'm going to do like sales videos over on my other channel, and also list the items on Facebook as well, so on the other Facebook groups. So I think that's how it's going to go for the next year or two. So because I got so many Penguin and Pan books to get through, you know, I've mixed it up as much as I can with other books, but I think the time is rapidly approaching in the next sort of 3 months or so, where we're going to have to change it up a little bit and start working in some toys, which I really don't think is a bad thing. I think you'll really enjoy having a look through those as much as the books, really. Right, on to the annuals now. So the last little bit of these Judge Dredd books. I hope you've enjoyed looking through them. There was definitely too much to do in one video. As much as I was tempted to just rattle through it, I'm glad I've taken the break, done a little bit more research into what they're actually making, which is quite interesting. Certainly not cheap, but also not expensive either. So you could, with a bit of careful buying and buying a couple of job lots, do very, very well in getting some classic Judge Dredd material. And I've got to say, I absolutely love these, and it's been a long time since I've had them all out like this, so you know, several years. So I will indeed do another sort of in-depth look at my Judge Dredd graphic novel collection in a future video over on my channel. I don't think there's many that I'm missing, but there might be a few, so there might be a few to track down. This one was had quite a bit of dirt along the top, and we've done really well. It's just come right out, which is exactly what I was hoping. Yeah, I had a few little, the 82 annual is one of my favourites. Yeah, it was just a little bit dirty, that's all, from when I've had it all these years. I think this is my original one, the 82. I think this was the first one I got. I never had the first one, and I always coveted people who had it in their collections. I thought, oh, I'd love to get that, and obviously got a copy when in the 90s eventually, when we opened the shop. We had all the 2000 AD stuff through our hands, all the spin-offs. Lovely, that's a nice minter now. Look at the dirt we got off, loads. So just shows, doesn't it? Try and use a different bit of cloth. One little mark on the back, but I think it's more a scratch rather than a bit of dirt. Yeah, it's where the back cover has been rubbed slightly, so I can't do anything about that. But it's okay. Giving the edges of these a wipe as well, because they're laminate as well on the boards. I think this was the one with the slightly faded spine, so we're going to see. Yeah, have a look. I don't know if we're going to be able to do much with it, but we'll give it a go. Do the front and back covers first. Big mark there, which is going to need a bit more attention. It's like a sticker mark. Yeah, this obviously wasn't from brand new. Another mark there. Bit of targeted Mr. Sheen there, and we'll leave it on for just a minute. Let's let that soak in just a sec. Let's do these edges. Okay. Now there is one other little thing you can do on a laminated book like this. It's a little trick. I don't know if I've shown you this before, but if the book is laminated, what you can do, you can get a soft rubber, because that hasn't quite got the dirt off there. You can get a soft rubber, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is a good way to get ink off a book like this. What you can do is just get a little bit of spit and pop it into where the mess is. That says a laminated cover, so it's not going to hurt. And then you just rub it off with your rubber, and sometimes that can do the trick. So we'll see if that works in this case. Well, it's a little bit lighter, but it's still not got rid of it that well. It got a little bit of it off. I think we're just going to have to live with that. Yeah, I got a little bit of it off, but not that much. And then, well, the spine. So can we get this any lighter? It looks like it's either sun faded, I think it is sun faded, and a little bit smoke damaged. So we see that now and again, don't we? So I'm trying to lighten up that white there. I think that's not too bad. I think it is just sun damage now. And it's because it's red, it's just susceptible to the sun. That's all we can do about that. Okay, 1986. What were you doing in 1986? I know I'd left home and was out in the big wide world, just. Yeah, I think what I will also do is I will cross-post all my monthly pickup cleaning videos over on from my main channel. I'll cross-post them on here as well, so that we keep the cleaning content, covered. So if you're not really too fussed about general book content, you will see all the cleaning videos on here. But there is quite a big playlist on my other channel of my monthly pickup videos, which will all involve book cleaning and repairing, so you might find some really good ones over there. Certainly if I get that penguin on Sunday, or one of the two that I need, that will be having a repair video all of its own. Tiny spot on the back there, but it's under the boards. There's nothing we can do about it. It's an anomaly from the printer, so it will have to remain. One thing I have been meaning to do on this channel is break down my videos into playlists, so you could watch like all the Pan ones in order, all the Penguin ones in order, that sort of thing. So that is something I'm going to be doing quite soon. I've got a couple of hours spare. I'll get those organised. I know certain types of paperback video do better than others, so it'd be good to break those down a little bit more. Yep, definitely need to upgrade the 1990 annual. That's not very nice at all, that one. at all, to be honest. There we are then. So, as I clean the next to last one, I hope you've enjoyed this week's video, which was the second and final part of the Judge Dredd graphic novels and 2000 AD related books. I've certainly loved going through them. It's been great fun, and as I said, it's prompted me to read a few, and they've been blooming excellent as well, so that's been super cool. If you've enjoyed it, do please give the video a thumbs up, of course. If you've not already, hit that subscribe button so that we grow the channel, albeit quite slowly. It's absolutely fine, but it just shows YouTube that you're loving the content. As I said, it's got some very, very good stuff to come. A bit more interesting, I think, with the toys. So it'll be a bit of variety. But yeah, thanks for watching today. And I will look forward to seeing you again in another week's time. Bye.